Hey there, Chadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. Today, I bring you a legend in real estate. This is going to be a different kind of conversation than the one that you're used to hearing here today, because what I'm going to extract out of Richard is the most important elements that really take your business to the next level. And that has absolutely nothing to do with systems and has everything to do with the most important thing to do, and that is to have an intelligent, strategic conversation that lets your prospect know that who you are is the absolute no-brainer choice to work with. So with that said, Richard, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I know you're making a big difference out there. Doing a lot for the industry, and you really care about people. I know that about you, and I just hear that, I talked to Chadi, he helped me in my business, and I'm getting listings, so keep up the great work, and it's great to be here.
I appreciate your kind words, Richard. And some of our audience may be familiar with the name, Richard Duggal. Some people are not familiar with who you are. Why don't you just tell the world how awesome you are, who you are, and how awesome you are?
Well, working to get more and more awesome is never ending, Kaizen, right? Constant, never ending improvement. And so I started selling encyclopedias when I was 17. And I came from England to North America. And I had 3 or 4 months, I think 3 months or whatever, during the school year. And I got a bit bored after a month, just starting school in this continent. And I remember looking in the newspaper and it said, 3 units, $350 in the paper. And I said, wow, that sounds pretty good coin. That's a long time ago. And so I remember they said, here's the address. So I went downtown, big skyscraper. And what they're doing is they're teaching you how to sell encyclopedias door to door. And I had no idea about that business. And the next thing you know, I'm in these small towns. They're dropping you off at 9 o'clock with one sample with all the best, pictures in it. And we called it an educational product. But that was a real great taste of direct selling, getting into doors. Because at 5 o'clock, they'd pick you up. And the actual cost of it was about 1.5 months of a mortgage payment. But we used to sell them on the, on the children. So on the value of the education. And from there, bang, bang, sold a lot of different things and got into real estate. And one of the things that I realized is that if I'm not talking to people, I'm not going to make any money. So I'm sitting in my office. So I actually looked in the office and I noticed what people were doing. And I noticed that the board was a whiteboard. And there's most offices, it was the same agents doing all the business, like top 3 or 4, and they were the same names. And I looked around and I said, there's a lot of agents in this office. I want to see what they do, and I'm not going to do that. So they told me, I go, what do you do? And they go, we do open house every weekend. I go, okay, I won't do that. I said, what do you do? I send flyers. And I said, what do you mean flyers? He goes, we send flyers and we wait for calls. Like the people call us. I said, okay, I won't do that. I went through this whole thing. And then somebody else said, I said, what do you do? And she was in the business a long time, an older lady. And she said, you have to find a good buyer and go show them houses. And I said, okay, I won't do that. So I started to cross it off and I go, what will I do? And I had a good broker. I had to thank him. And he said, old Italian guy, soprano type. And he goes, get on the phone, Richard. You got to get on the phone. And that's all I knew. I go, okay, great. So I'm on the phone prospecting. And next thing you know, I found that if you talk to people and you connect with them and you ask them to sign the contract, they do it. I don't know. Next thing you know, I'm selling a lot of homes. And in a national franchise in the country I became number 7 in the country in my 4th year. And I was beating teams because at that time, there was no division between teams and individuals, but there weren't many teams anyway. And next thing you know is once I looked at the local magazine, the tourist magazine, I was in the bookstore, about your local city. And I flipped the page and it had the average price of each area, by MLS district. And I knew my price range was lower because that particular office, they tended to work the area. But I noticed it, Chadi, and I said, what the hell? It's the lowest in the city. It was the lowest price range in the city. I had a lot of listings. And then I got my finger and I went across, and there's an area called C12, and that was the highest price. So I got in my car and I drove, and funnily enough, it's on Wilson Avenue, and they are on Wilson Avenue. It's like over the tracks. And I drove there, and it was a Friday night, but someone spoke to me there, the president. He was actually there, the son of the owner. And I asked him 5 questions, reasonable questions. And one of them, by the way, was, am I allowed to call expired listings from agents in the office? That was one of my questions. And as a luxury brand, like high end, so they have that kind of culture, I wasn't sure. And he said, yeah. He said, in fact, every time you do it, I'll buy you a dinner. So he gave me a great answer because you kept it in the company. And the next thing you know is I applied the same things there. I had to change a few things, though, which we can talk about. Only a few subtleties, but the same principles. And I broke their record in 42 years. At the same time, I joined a company, Mike Ferry, and I became a coach. And I was known as the skills coach. So I'm the only person in their 40 whatever history that they play my live calls at the Superstar Retreat. And you've heard them. So there's no one before, no one after. Because when you hear my calls, nothing else, it doesn't even compare. So, because I really get into the NLP, the persuasion part, and they're just funny. And then Matthew used to play them at the productivity schools, and that was a standard. And one of my proudest moments actually was an email. I'll get emails where their own salespeople at that company are saying, well, one of them, there's 2 emails. One said, thank you for teaching us how to make the scripts more conversational. I did a little lesson for them and then listened to a few of my tapes. Then I got another one where they want more tapes because in their coffee room at that organization, they're listening to my calls, and there's some crazy calls out there. And, but having that ability, the excitement, I don't know, it's like a kick. It's like Ronaldo scoring a goal or Messi and the free kick goes in. You know how it is of actually shifting somebody's mind. They're thinking this way and you feel the shift and both combined, the shift of the state. Someone's, and then next thing you know, they're laughing with you. Or they go, yeah. And then you go, wow, I get it. That's what feeds me. I get a kick out of it. So I've listed, I don't know, I should actually count. I've got binders with well over 2,000 listings from direct prospecting and on my terms. And, that's my history. I'm also the worldwide speaker for my company. It's a global brand. So, that was one of the things too. So the 120,000 agents, and when they choose someone to fly over to Austria, Turkey, Germany, England, or whatever, they tend to choose me as an example. And I just spent some time in Austria training the owners of Remax, the owners of each country. They brought them into a room in Vienna, and I taught them, personality styles, how to read people really fast, adapt, the day in the life of a superstar. And the third one was a panel. I had a little panel going on. So I love to share, I love to contribute. I love to prospect. I love to sell. I love to close. And I love to connect with great people. That's why I'm here.
Awesome. Wow. Over 2,000 transactions, of which the majority of them are listings.
And listings taken. Yeah.
Listings taken. And, a couple of things I'm hearing in your journey. Okay. One is you obviously have a mindset of a champion, a winning mindset. Okay. And number 2, you are a master at the language to shift someone's state from like, I'm interviewing this guy to, no, I got to do whatever it takes to work with this guy.
Exactly.
So let's dive into, and then I heard the word script. So we're definitely going to talk about scripts in a little bit. And I did hear a lot of your live calls. And I remember when I first heard your live calls, that's what turned me into the world of NLP, and I started
Oh,
to
thank you,
study.
Chadi. That means a
Yeah.
lot, because
Yeah.
your
So that
accomplishments, that means a lot. Thank you.
and that was a good starting point for me. And then I took NLP for 18 months in a row. If you remember back then with Matt,
Yeah.
straight. So I took it
Yeah.
18 months in a row because I wanted to like totally master it, because I saw
I've heard
that
you're
was-
great. I've heard some of your tapes. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So Richard, how do we develop this mindset of a top listing agent? Because you're a top listing agent. How do we develop the mindset? Not just a strong mindset, but a mindset that says, hey, I am a top listing agent. I got to believe that. I want to believe that so I could become that. How do we do that?
So much to talk about, but let's begin with the first one. Fundamentally, we want to adapt the mindset of a hunter.
Yeah.
So when we were cavemen, we had to go out and hunt. That's in our DNA. So when we don't bring back some bacon or whatever the thing is at that time, whatever we're eating, we don't bring back something to eat, no one will survive. So that's actually in our nature. We have to revive that DNA. We have to activate it. It's in us. So look at it like an activation. It's like, boom, you're taking nootropics and you're feeling like amazing. Well, we have to activate it because that is the true you. We are born to be hunters. And I've seen what happens. I actually kind of figured it out. And then I started to read books about the school system, because the school system is designed to suppress the hunter. Because when Henry Ford built the factories, he had to get children from the farm who would be jumping around on horses and whatever, doing all kinds of stuff, climbing up in trees. They had to tame it. It's just like a wild horse to sit there and you move a widget for 9 hours a day. Now that we're not designed to do that, but the school system was designed to tame us. I remember in school, I'm just making a little note to pass to somebody. Bang, I'm in trouble. Sometimes you'd smile and the teacher would say, "Oh, Dougal, you think that's funny?" And I'm actually smiling at a joke, you know what I mean? And so we suppressed, if you think about it. The good news is, and I have evidence, I can actually prove it, but that's for another day, it's 100%. The real you, the real me is they can't touch it. There's a core inside us. So we have to reclaim that we're a hunter. We have to go out and get business. And now the other thing is that we have to understand the difference between a listing agent and a buyer agent. Because once we say, I want to be a listing agent, the desire to be a listing agent has to be there. So here you are, and some of you might be in a cold country, some in a hot, and some in between. But let's say it's freezing out there and there's ice on the road, black ice, and you get a page. I've been in that situation. It gets cold. And I'm looking at my pager and I'm seeing registered showing. And I'm thinking, these poor souls, they didn't prospect. And I actually imagine them like trying to open the lockbox, get the gloves off. They can't get it open. It's frozen. That is painful. And to me, isn't prospecting easier? Like you just pick up the phone, blah, blah, blah. When do you plan on moving? Isn't that easier than getting in the car, picking up the kids, strapping in the baby in the back seat, helping that, and then all that stuff, driving around. And then they go, no, I changed my mind. Not a good time to buy. I have to show them 15 homes. So to me, it's pretty simple. But picking up the phone, blah, 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 is pretty easy. And it comes with the listing consciousness. So when I wake up, I am on a listing schedule. So the listing schedule, the actual work schedule of a listing agent is different than a buyer agent, as you know, and you've taught so well. So the buyer agent may wake up and say, oh, let me go on the computer and let's see if any listings came out. Let me send some emails to that internet lead that told me they're going to buy in 2024. Now, right? And the listing agent, I need a listing today. Who can I call? Oh, Fizbo's expired. Let me get on the phone. And they have a ritual. So the whole day is different. The whole mentality is different. And so the listing mindset, what happens is that when you have the listing consciousness, and you've explained it, you can explain it right now if you want, because you're brilliant at it, is the reticular activator, which is you buy a Jeep. Like I'm thinking of buying, actually I put a deposit down, so I guess I'm beyond that. the new Hummer, the electrical one. It's 1,000 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. And so let's say you're buying a car, you're looking to buy a car, a Jeep. Suddenly there's Jeeps everywhere, right? They're always in there. So the same thing as listings. Once you focus on listings, you'll start seeing opportunities. I remember going to a property on a street called Downsview. I went to the listing appointment and I did not get that listing. He goes, no, not right now. He was a limo driver. I remember that. Really good guy, nice family, but I didn't get it. So I'm driving out and I see a person standing outside their house. I go, hey, you want to sell? He goes, maybe. He said, he said that I'm arranging it. Let me see what I can do. And I think it was in about 4 days, I took that listing and I double-ended it at a really high commission. And it was really interesting. The people who bought it, they're from Ecuador. And there's 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and they married each other. You can work that out. Anyway, they bought that property and bang. And that was just somebody just there because I'm looking for listings. And a lot of it is going to be, and this is really important, is confidence. Having that confidence, like to stop someone and say, I'm the badass in this area. I'm the best agent in this area. You cannot get anyone better. In fact, if you choose somebody else, you will suffer. You will suffer because you'll get a less of an agent. So the belief in yourself that you're the best agent, that when you call the list, there's 2 that I use when I'm calling, 2 affirmations or 2 self-talk. So one is, it depends on my mood, one is, who can I help today? So I'm looking at the list because I call from Excel sheets. I'm saying, who can I call today? Who can I help today? Who can I help today? And the other one is, who is my next appointment? And then I changed it to, you are my next appointment. That kind of rings better with me. I said, you are my next appointment. And I actually talk to the people sometimes, very often, before I pick up the phone. I'm already talking to them using their name. Thomas, Eguado. I actually begin talking to them, in my own voice, under my breath, I guess, before I even pick up the phone.
I love that. And, that goes to step number 1 in the sales process, is to always assume the sale, always assume the appointment. That must take place in your mind before it could ever take place in the physical universe. So true. Let's unpack that a little bit more, Richard. Okay. I'm listening to this podcast. I'm watching this video right now. I'm sick and tired of opening up lock boxes. I'm sick and tired of, working with buyers, showing them 15 homes, and then they either change their mind or they don't want to write a good enough offer, or they go buy from someone else. Typical experience for the buyer's agent. I know I got to do something different. I want to become a top listing agent. I just don't believe that I can. And I got to adopt that belief system. And I know there's a lot of people struggling with that right now. What is one thing or 2 things that someone can do to begin to build that belief system, that who they are?
I'll tell you, I got a really good one. And I've never heard anyone mention it. So it could be something, fresh in the mind. So what I tell people, I really do. I say, if you ever want to have confidence about you can do the job as well as anybody else, I said, go to your local real estate board. Just go there in the building and walk around and look around at the agents in the library or whatever. And you go, people list with it. People list with it. And you'll see people like almost back people, like old sweaters holding them, a guy sniffling. I saw a guy and I go, because I was in this seminar, you got to take these mandatory courses. And this guy's sniffling. I'm looking at him and thinking, people list, you're in real estate, and you survived. So what happens is, don't make monsters of your competition. Do not make monsters of your competition, because what happens is we go on podcasts, we see these YouTubes, and it's great. But then we start imagining that everybody that we're competing with are like superstar, selling machines, bionic men's and bionic women's. And then we get scared and we think, how can I compete with that? But if you actually look on the MLS and start looking at the names, those people don't get every listing. You see Mary, who works at the post office, she got a listing. And it wasn't always a friend. It could have been a friend. It could be a friend of a friend, someone she met at a party. So you start looking at people and you go, wait a minute. That's the first thing. Don't make monsters of your competition, because people get intimidated before they even call.
Right.
Number two, I'm just go through a list off the top of my head, is remember one thing, and goes back to psychology. Do not underestimate that when you are in front of a customer, you have all the power. When you are present, like I'm present now with Chadi, it's a human connection. The other agents, Mr. Big Shot, whatever, Billboard, Sally, she's not in the room. So you guys are giving too much power, because you're having a conversation and saying, great, Mary, when you sell this property, where are you moving to? I'm moving to Albuquerque. Good move. What takes you there? Well, I've got children there, and, I'm getting a bit older, so I'm kind of planning for my future. I don't want to be alone. I say, I appreciate that. Why? It's just a family move. Yeah. And blah, blah, blah. You think she's thinking about Sally Billboard? We are, because we're in the real estate industry. So we create these monsters. So hopefully that's helpful. The other thing is you want to find out what makes you unique, your unique selling proposition. And people discount themselves. So the number one thing you can say is, I'm better than any other agent. And this is an equalizer, because I care more. See, that's not something you can measure in a billboard or a Facebook budget for advertising. So this is a way you can sell and say, well, do I care about my customers? Man, I do. If I have a customer, I want them to win. I want them to be happy. I want to see them move. I want their children to enjoy that new school, have a better education, get out of this area, or whatever it is. And does another agent care more than you? I can't say, maybe as much as me, I don't know, but it had to care more than me. So that's a great equalizer right there. Tap into how much you care about your customers, and suddenly you go, they need me.
Yeah.
And then think of reasons, because what happens is the brain works like this, is that once we realize that all beliefs are made up, every belief you have is actually just made up. And many times we didn't make it up. Because let's say my father was a diplomat and he was stationed in Ethiopia or Japan or whatever country, China, and I went to local schools there, I'd have different beliefs. I'd fight for my beliefs. I have people that think that they actually came up with beliefs, but I know their parents, so I know the generation, whether it's being a Republican, Democrat, and they actually believe that they made that up. But the beautiful thing is, give yourself permission to create beliefs. Because this is what happens. So once you created the belief, it's like a stool. What will happen is that the evidence will appear. The legs will hold up that belief. So if somebody says, a girl says, for example, I am sexy, she'll go, yeah, I had 10 guys after me at the prom. Look at that dress. I'm in great shape. And blah, blah, blah. I look in the mirror, whatever it is. And so they'll start holding up beliefs for that. But the same person could say, I'm not sexy. And you know what? They'll go, yeah, whatever happened, at this particular party, she was after some guy, and he just kind of walked away. I guess I'm not. All my friends, she's so in great shape. She works out every day. She's like a model. I don't work out. Look, I don't even fit into that dress. So what happens is you can actually choose your beliefs. Isn't that amazing? It's like, that's one of the closest things to magic. So what I do, and I've always, for a long time anyway, especially once I learned psychology of NLP and all this beautiful science, is that I can actually choose my beliefs. I just began choosing them. So when I went to the luxury company, I said, this is my world. And next thing you know is I did things to support it. So downstairs in the basement, it's a building, like a 3-story building. And there's a basement underneath. And there were pictures, Chadi, like beautiful pictures, wooden of houses, expensive houses. Now, I don't know what that was for. I think it was because they were doing some kind of showroom or some event at some big convention. So what I did, I sneaked down and I took them all and I put them in my room. And I thought, the worst thing going to happen, Richard, what are you doing? Oh, okay, here, If you're not using them, here they are back. So I took them all and I put them there because I wanted to have that exposure of those houses so that when I walked in, all I know is I see just big, big houses. And I went to one property, which is a really, but on purpose. I went to some really big properties to open up my own mind. This is normal. And why did I do that? So if you go and visit a $25 million property, like even inspect it, who knows, even list it. Every time you go and see someone with a $6 million property, you'll walk in and you'll say, is that the best you can do? Or $8 million property, is that the best you can do? So you want to expose yourself to your environment, to think that will add to your beliefs, it will build that belief. And a lot of it will be who you surround yourself with. That's why I surround myself with people like Chadi. Once I said, oh, Chadi, absolutely, man. I want to be with him. So I want to be around people doing things, accomplishing things, thinking bigger. I mean, you could actually, we can go through the whole list.
This could like literally be a few hour conversation. So what you're saying is, number one, you choose your beliefs. And since you have the choice, why not choose a belief that empowers you versus taking your power away? And the challenge that I have for everyone that's watching this right now is to make up a new belief. And the reason I want you to make it up and just hold on to it for at least the next 24 hours, because as Richard says, is that the moment that you just think of it, everything that supports it will begin to show up and you begin to build those legs. So if you say to yourself, who I am is a top listing agent, that is my new belief system, you'll begin to recall moments where you were on an interview and you beat out two other three agents, which is a demonstration and proof that who you are is a top listing agent, etc. So that's number one. Number two is, get visuals, get something, alter your environment to support that new belief that you have. And number three, choose your surrounding. Who are you having a conversation with? Who are you listening to? Whose material are you studying? Because that is going to impact the follow through on building even more legs for the belief system. Did I get that right, Richard?
Absolutely. And by the way, if anyone hasn't seen Chadi's video, there's one video, I'm not going to tell you the secret because you got to see it. But he was walking and he was basically distinguishing the difference between people who are successful and people who are not. And there's one word, but you got to see the video yourself. And he was walking and I almost felt my legs were moving. I was actually walking with him. But there's one word in there, which is major. And that's a brilliant video. You'll see that on his channel.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We'll link the video to the show notes at tlashow.com. All right, a couple of other things. So we already talked, about the belief and the mindset. Scripts. Richard, do scripts work?
Scripts are great because what happens is the reason that someone does not stop by a for sale by owner, there's many reasons, but a fundamental reason when they're driving by and they go, no, but I'll just keep driving. Maybe put the accelerator on. Whoa, get out of there. It's because you don't know what to say. And I've seen that because I have a team as well. So I get a chance to actually almost live with someone off camera because they're right there. I see them. So I can see they didn't know what to say. But once they know what to say and you go, when you walk up, knock on the door, just say this. And they go, that's easy. I can do that. So the first thing is to learn what to say, because in the end, the secret of real estate is knowing what to say in real estate, the communication. Because in the end, all success comes from humans. Remember that. All success comes from humans in the end.
All your dreams and all your goals are connected to other people. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to make an income, you need a listing, you need a seller. You want to make an income, you need a buyer, etc. Okay.
Exactly.
So, and you're talking about hunting, and there's a lot of people, everybody knows I got to go out there and hunt for the business, yet they don't because, they're crippled in the back of their mind of like, well, I don't know what to say. Or what if I get that objection and I don't know how to answer it, then I'm going to get done, and that stops them from ever taking action. So, what we both had the same, mentors, And, one of our mentors always said, look, real estate is nothing more than a conversation. If you're good at having that conversation, you'll have more conversations, you'll make more sense, and you'll take more business.
Exactly. So the key is to learn the script so that you want to almost scare yourself. So what I did, I actually scared myself on purpose, just for fun. I was being playful with myself, that I don't want to be on an appointment where somebody says something, I have a friend, this and that, whatever, where I don't have an answer. And I made it so painful for myself that I had to learn the answer. So you'll stay up at night till 3 o'clock in the morning if you have an appointment, because you don't want to be in that position. The only other option is to cancel the appointment. You don't want to do that. So you have to find you have to create a standard for yourself. That then what happens once you've got the answers to all the objections? Well, I'll tell you what happened to me is that I was at a particular program in Florida, and there's about 800 people. And I was sat right in the front, but at lunchtime when I came back, my place was taken. So that's okay. It worked out in my favor. I was in the back, near the back. So anyway, so what happened is the speaker was teaching scripts for 4 days. That's all he was doing, scripts and dialogues for real estate. And after lunch, just as lunch was breaking, actually, sorry, before lunch, we were just lunchtime. He goes, wait a second, we're gonna go for lunch soon. And then he got off the stage and he said, let me handle some objections. Give me some objections. And he walked down the aisle and people just threw him objections, like just like that, blah, 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 blah. Even some weird ones. And he handled them like a martial, like Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, when he's in the, he's in the dungeon and guys are coming, he's just putting his boom and the guys are flying. So anyway, so he just started handling them. And I remember, it was almost like an out-of-body experience. It's almost like I stood up and I pointed and I said, I want that. And it took me 5 years of toil, of writing scripts, practicing to my standard to be able to do that. And then the president of that company, there was a seminar, and he said, on the third of the fourth day, he said, he's a son-in-law of the owner. And he said, I want to introduce you to my idol. So I went looking around and it was myself. He goes, Richard. So I went in the front and it was in my town. And he had me handle objections from the stage. So everything came full circle. But this was even worse because these were my competitors. Not only in fact, one of them, we just took a listing off him the night before. He was after a listing that we were both after, and they were interviewing the people, and we actually took it, and he was in the audience. And it was interesting because when I handled the objections, he actually referred a lot to my tonality after. He goes, you hear Richard's tonality, the way that he talks to people, or talk in that. But what happened anyway, it was so funny because everyone, when I handled the objection, they sat down like babies. But there was one gentleman who was a heckler. And sometimes in an event, you get a heckler who's always attack the speaker. I kind of felt sorry for the speaker because he was giving him a hard time, asking really weird questions. Found out later he wasn't even a real estate agent. He was getting his license. But anyway, whatever. And he tried to catch me out. So he stood up with a bit of an attitude. He goes, Richard, I like what you have to say. With a bit of a smugness. He goes, but I'm sorry, I got a list with a woman, with a lady. And without flinching, I said, great. I said, so what you're saying, Joe, is that if I walk out of the house and I walk back wearing a dress, then you will list with me. And there was a pause, and he cracked up and everyone cracked up. The question for you is it worth it for you to learn scripts? Is it worth it for you to write them out? Is it worth it for you? Well, this is your craft. Think of a craftsperson. This is your craft. If you're going in the octagon and you could have your leg broken or lose a fight, lose a big opportunity, then are you going to train? Are you going to train? If you're going to fight someone really like powerful, strong, like John Jones, if he fights the heavyweight right now, he has to go into heavy duty training. So you got to train like that, like you're going into a champion. It's your own professional pride in yourself. And you say, this is who I am. It's like, I want my kids to say, my dad's a champ. So these are things that you use. So what you do is you use your brain to motivate yourself. You actually find ways to motivate yourself. I got so many angles on me, on my brain, that there's no escape. I have to succeed because I make up stories like that. And so a lot of it is our own mind, our own brain is finding things that motivate you. For some, it could be that uncle who's told him when he's a kid, you should just get a manual job. You're not that smart. It could be anything, which is not the most positive, but hey, whatever drives you. So you have to find your own reason. You have to sometimes just sit down and say, what if I don't succeed, and use it away from, because we are motivated, as you teach, is towards pleasure and away from pain. Use both. Use towards pleasure and away from pain. So one thing I did with my clients in my coaching, this really helped them. It's really simple. I said, I want you to create a morning file, and you look at it every morning. But one of the things in that file is you write down, well, you've already written it down, you review it, which is 10 positive rewards if I do my prospecting. And you write it down. It's the best assignment you could ever do. And you write it down. And watch this. Like that. Yeah, another one is 10 negative consequences if I don't. And what I wrote is my children will be denied opportunities. And believe it or not, funny, this is when I first started, is that I'll be driving a used car. I actually wrote that down. It didn't have to be the most cleverest thing. Just write down. So you write down, but what you do is every morning you look at it, and and it only takes a second if you go and get yourself riled up. Like before this call, for example, I was playing just for 3 or 4 minutes, some Rocky music before getting on, getting in the mood. So I look at this as a gamesmanship, the real estate game. It's almost a place where it's a live self-development course. So instead of going into a room, coming out and being Mr. Ordinary, this is it. How can I make myself better? Communication, understanding people, empathy, winning people over, creating openness in people and vulnerability in a conversation.
Wow. So, I'm going to steal that from you, or I'm going to borrow that from you, and I'm going to add that to my coaching clients immediately. Like, yeah. I'm going to send out a broadcast email saying, look, here on forward, every single morning, you're going to create the list. You're going to review the list. 10 positive things that will happen as a result of, me doing my job today. 10 negative consequences that could potentially happen if I don't do my job.
Absolutely. And what you do, Chad, is you say, you got to send it to me. And the reason they're sending it to you is not so much you'll review it, even though that'll be helpful. It's just they actually will do it. Like that this is one thing that left on their own, people won't do many times. Only the very, very motivated will. We've always got, have you noticed that we're always looking for spare time to do things that are important, but there is no spare time.
If it's important, you find a way.
Exactly.
And if it's not, you find an excuse. And a lot of times what happens is we as human beings, and it's not we say that this is not important, it's we take the path of least resistance.
That's true.
We take the path of least resistance. I know this is important, but this is difficult.
That's one reason why expired. Sorry to, because you got me there. That's one reason, and a lot of people haven't addressed this in training and skill training, is one reason that people will go back with the same agent is not because they think he's a good agent. It's a path of least resistance. Because a person already has a sign, they already have the lockbox. They may even have a copy of some documents, like the survey of the lot. So it's like, I got to confront this person. So it's not always when they say, I'm happy with my agent, whatever. That's not necessarily true. The emotion made that decision. Like, I don't want to confront that guy and say he's fired. He just brought candies for my kids last week or whatever. So I'll justify it with some logic. Well, it's probably the market. So you have to get the root to that. You have to get the root. If you want to be a great listing agent, somebody who beats out other agents, you have to be better than them. So think about it. When you're talking to people, you have to sound different. You have to sound like you really care. And you have to sound credible. You know what you're doing.
Can you give us some? Can you give us some tips on that? You know, I'm gonna throw in a question first. I'm just gonna play devil's advocate, and I'm gonna think about like what everybody always tells me when when I try to get them on the phones, etc. They always say, "Well, you know, calling expires, but there's 100 other people calling expires." What do you got to say to that, Richard?
You mean as somebody who's a client or the seller?
Yeah, no. Somebody has like a real estate agent that's just signed up for coaching, or just having a conversation with a coach and says, okay, there's 100 other agents calling the same expireds every single morning, and that's why I don't want to call them because I don't want to interrupt people, etc.
Well, all we have to find out is, are some of these agents taking listings?
The majority of them are not.
Yeah, but are there some though? Are there some? Is anyone there taking listings?
Yes.
And we do know that listings are available, right? Listings are available to be taken. Can we agree on that?
100%.
So then if we don't call, are listings available to you?
No.
If we do call, is at least a possibility.
Yes.
So what if you could learn what to say to people so people will actually listen to you and that you've got a chance? What if you say, I'm going to look, I have a saying, which is, I outwork them, I outpractice them, I outthink them. And because of that, I intimidate them.
I love it. Yeah. We're stealing that one too.
So what if we take that on? And what if we just play a game and say, do what you're normally doing? But what we'll do is we'll use this. If I'm coaching somebody, we'll use this theme to say, we're going to use this to increase our skills. We're going to use this part of our training or your day to make you into someone very skilled, somebody who can lower resistance on somebody. Let's play the game. Because you're not getting it anyway, so you're not even attached. But let's see if we can do that. And then I remind people that if you can get in front of them, you have all the power. The key is to get in front of those people. Because what happens is agents don't give themselves enough credit that when you're in front of somebody, you got their presence, you are all powerful. So let's get in front of some people.
So you getting in their presence is also a demonstration that who you are is someone that has the power, because if you didn't have the power, you would have never even had the opportunity to be in their presence.
Exactly. And the other thing is that people make monsters of clients before they even call. You know that. They go, oh, I don't want to call. Everyone hangs up. Everyone's angry. No, they're not. And they're definitely not after a bit of talking to them. So it happened, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I was talking to a client. He says, oh, they're really tough to talk to. It was about FISBOs. I said, have you ever called them? He goes, yeah. I go, is everyone like that? Or are there some that actually don't mind talking to you? And they go, that's true. It almost woke him up. So somebody will come on my team and they'll make, say, 20, it's actually happened, 30 calls. And I go, how was it? Oh, this guy was really nasty. I go, how many were nasty? He said, probably 2. And I said, how many were neutral? He goes, what do you mean? How many, I don't know, maybe, 10, maybe 15, I don't know. And how many were like pretty friendly? And they go, yeah, a lot that were friendly. Say like 10, maybe the guy. So why are you focused on that negative? Why are you giving that much power to that person? So does that make sense?
At the end of the day, throughout this conversation, I'm like hearing some invisible words, and the words are, I am responsible, man. I'm responsible. Okay, so I get that other people have their own way of being. You're responsible for your own way of being. You're responsible for how you think. You're responsible for how you show up. And as long as you're doing your darn part by, programming yourself, to have the right belief system, to show up with power, some people are going to resonate with that and some people are not. Now, I say that, when you master the art of influence, more people will begin to resonate with that because you're strategically, shifting them over to your side.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, no matter how much power you have, you're still not going to convert 100% of the people anyways.
Absolutely. And even those big shot agents you're thinking of, they don't get everybody.
Yeah.
And you know, they go, how come I didn't get that listing? You know why? Because sometimes someone just connected with somebody. We've all had that where you go, I want to work with this person.
You know what, Richard, you're absolutely right. I have students that work with me who are like 1 or 2 years in the business, and you know, they come to me and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I set an appointment and I'm going up against, you know, the number one agent in that marketplace. And then we prepare them mentally, we prepare them with the right words to say, how to say it, all that good stuff. They go there and they beat out someone that's been in the industry for 20 years.
Exactly.
How did we do that? We reframed their mind, and that person knew exactly what to say, when to say.
Exactly. I'll tell you what happened to me. There was one agent going after a mega agent. Like he outspends everybody, literally, like by far. And he said, what should I do? I said, what you do when you go there, you say, because the person on the phone already mentioned the person's name that he's thinking of. Then I go, you know, oh, you're thinking of going with, I just mentioned the name. I just make up a name. You're thinking of going with Bob. That's great. And you say, you know what? We all wish we were like Bob. One day we can be like Bob. What do you mean? Say, see, Bob, you know, I heard actually he's got a little private plane because he's in a position now where he's hired a lot of people to do all his work. You know, sometimes the agents who themselves would not be able to, you know, sell real estate, which is nothing wrong with that. So they kind of join him like licensed assistants. And he's made so much money. He does so well that actually I heard he's on Instagram. He's on holidays everywhere because he's got this thing going on. And what we call that actually is called the factory method of real estate. So what you do is you take 400 listings a year and you sell 300. You may not sell 200 more, but you do a lot of business. It's called the factory method. And I say, you know what, Mary, you got him a bit late. Because I heard that when he was out there himself many years ago, he was really nice, really took care of people. But now he's got a business going, right? He's got a business. So in one sense, you know, one day maybe we'll be like that. Right now, I'm serving customers myself one-to-one. So when you call me on a Friday at 5 o'clock, I'm not in the Bahamas. I'm answering your phone. I'm here. And let me ask you a question, Mary. That agent, if your home sells or not, do you think it will affect his lifestyle? Like if your home, he's got 500 listings right now or 300. If your listing does not sell, do you think he'll say to his wife, wifey, it's meatloaf tonight, no steak. Bob's house didn't sell. You see, the difference is when your home doesn't sell, it affects my lifestyle. I got to sell it. You see, when I wake up in the morning, my eyes open, I'm thinking of 42 Miller Street. Do you think he's thinking about his particular listing when he's got 400? So these are some of the things. And then what happens is the agent goes, yeah, let me get over there. I'm getting there early. And you're giving the confidence again through the script. The script creates confidence. Because before you know what to say. But you see, I started off by saying what people don't expect. I mean, a competition will try to put the person down. And we go, you know, it's like a pattern interrupt. You know, John, you know, one day we all hope that we can get to that level. We all hope we can be just like John. And they're going, what? Isn't it your competition? You know, that kind of thing. And so you take them down this journey. It's really funny. So that what happens is you're arming the agent, and secretly they'll know, you know, Chad, that what we're really doing is giving this agent confidence. Goes back to confidence. It's a full circle. Even if they only say half of that, even if they have the attitude of that, they're going to drive a bit faster towards that appointment. Their eyes are going to be open, and they're going to have that much more confidence because they know how to handle it.
You know what, Richard? Everyone that's watching this and listening to this, I'm 100% confident they're saying, Chadi, thank you for bringing Richard on. How do I enter Richard's world? How can I find out more about how Richard can help me? Richard said, I need to be exposed to bigger thinkers and people doing better than I am. Richard said, you know, I need to be in dialogue and around powerful people. Look, we brought you the most powerful person on this show today. So, Richard, how can people enter your world?
They can actually text me if they want. My personal phone number is 416-464-2392. And if you mention Chadi, I'll send you a special gift on persuasion, on NLP, in real estate. And I'll put my last name on here just so that people can see they're looking for me, because I actually have a website too, richardduggal.com. Let's see if I can get that. That's Duggal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Richard, we will go ahead and link that in the show notes so people can, just go to the show notes if they're driving around right now, and they can, link to your website. We'll link them to your Instagram. We'll link them to your LinkedIn. We'll link them to your Facebook, and we'll make sure you start getting text messages on a Friday afternoon at 5:00. And guess what? Richard, not Bob, is going to pick up the phone. I love it.
I'll pick up the phone. Yeah, not Bob. I'm not in my Bahamas.
I love it.
I'm right here, ready to work and serve.
I love it. Richard, is there a question that you feel like I should have asked you today that I did not ask you that I should ask you?
You asked some great questions. And if anyone that came on, this is live, it's real. I don't know what, I like it this way, real conversation, meeting a buddy over a beer or a cup of coffee and just chatting. So there's no preparation. I had no idea what he's going to ask, but you definitely asked some, great questions. I think one thing is like, what's the next level beyond scripts? Like once we've learned the scripts, that's a good question.
Very good question.
So what happens is that, remember this is an interesting subject, very, very quickly, is that you'll notice that there's different coaches out there and they have different kind of scripts. So some are very direct and some are more bonding type. Like one of them is, I can't remember even the words, but it's something like, I'm never too busy for your referrals, right? Now, if you notice that one, there's no question, there's no confrontation. It's for a softer approach. And the other one is, when do you plan on moving? So one thing to notice when you step back is whoever wrote the script writes the script that would work on them. Because all you have to look at that speaker and say, yeah, that's his personality. So when you're looking at the scripts, you'll notice that each person writes the script that actually would work for them. They're very sincere, very genuine, because that's what they use. That's how you would sell them. So what you have to do is say, once I've learned the scripts, now the next level, and so many people stop at this level of just memorizing, thinking they've done it, but they're not. That's like going in the octagon and just knowing how to strike. Because when the European strikers, European martial artists came to America, they were getting taken down because no one knew groundwork. We don't have wrestling in school there. When you go to school in England, we don't have wrestling. That's where I'm from originally. So what happens is that there were now mixed martial arts are learning the whole game. So the next level, in other words, is you want to be the one who can write the script. You want to be able to be the one that can create scripts. And now you have to learn the language patterns of scripts. You have to learn the language patterns. And I'll just give you just share one script, which just a simple one that came to my mind just now is, it's not about X, it's about Y. So everyone can use that right now. It's not about X, it's about Y. So someone may say, oh no, I'm thinking of going with the agent. I'm really happy with them. I go, Mary, it's not about choosing me. It's about choosing somebody new, a new agent, whoever it is, because of blah, blah, blah. So it's not about X, it's about Y. So when you start learning these patterns, and I have hundreds of these patterns, and there's about 50 I use a lot, and you start creating your own patterns. You know about future pacing, I've seen you. And all. So once you start learning this, now you're going beyond the script. But that is the foundation. We have a sacred respect for the scripts. We're not discounting them, but there's something beyond that. Become the script writer. The script writer will always be the one who memorized the scripts in the ring.
I love that. Richard, I know I'm asking for a lot, but can we get one more strategy? Because it's not about X, it's about Y. Because here's the thing, you said something and people don't get it. And this could be the shift that makes the big difference for them. Look, there's nothing wrong with scripts. Scripts are a great foundation, okay? But you want to get to the point to really understand what is the psychology behind the script, so you could design your own scripts based on your personality and based on your selling style.
Exactly. More to fit to you rather than trying to fit in somebody else's box. It's like a jigsaw piece. So a lot of people struggle. I was a coach for Mike Ferry myself. So I love those scripts, for example. I was a coach. So I know, and I was teaching those scripts, but some people were struggling after 10 years. It's like, then remember when you're a kid and you have the jigsaw pieces and you're looking for a piece and you're trying to put it in, you go, it's not going in, but it looks the same. But when you're putting it in, it just doesn't go. And sometimes you put it, but it's sticking out and you go, well, maybe it was bent. But then you find the real one, you go, oh. So what happened is like trying to get scripts into your brain and into your vocabulary that don't fit. It's like putting the wrong piece in, and you'll know that. But the thing is, like, what you're going to change it to, because most people, when they change the script, they weaken the script. So another language pattern is called compound sentence. I'm giving you fast ones you can use right away, which is you say something, like I'll just give you an example. Since we're on the, you know what? Let's get together. I am on the phone with you. Or let's get together. I am a real estate agent. That's called a compound sentence. You have to say it like that. So you give a suggestion, and then you say something that's verifiably true in the person's mind, where inside they'll go, yeah. And that's a very, very powerful one. You can say to your wife, let's go out for dinner. It's Friday night. See, so the first suggestion is let's do something. It's a lead. But the second one, the brain goes, yeah, it's Friday. Let's do it. You see how that works? So I'll say to you, listen to Chadi. You are on this podcast.
I love it. And you know what's really coming to mind as you're saying that, Richard, is that I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of people that already use these language patterns without them even knowing that they are using it. And now, once you're really exposed to it, that's where you can really become more strategic. And strategy does matter more than anything else.
I know you're going to change the subject and shift. I got to put something. It's too beautiful what you said. I don't think you realize how magical what you just said is. Because what you basically said is that this is normal conversation. You're saying it already. So if you get anyone can say, I'm a real estate agent. Are all real estate agents in your marketplace the same level? Let's say you've got 7,000 agents. Are all NLP trainers the same? No, they're not. Believe me, they're not. But so if you want to learn NLP, you come to Chadi or myself. So what happens is that these language patterns are already being used. You're already talking like this. So, but what happens, you're not using it strategically to make money at the right time. In fact, you may be even using it against yourself without realizing it. That's another subject. The other thing is that when you're using language patterns, my goodness, is tonality important? You see the way I'm saying it at the end? So when you learn that, now you learn the tonality, the body language. I mean, oh my goodness, it goes on. But if you want to be the badass, why not be the best? This is not a practice run, right? Why not say, I'm going to be the best I can be? The real competition is yourself. And if you want to be good at communication, you'll always hit a ceiling. You'll never get that good unless you go to hypnosis, language patterns, communication. I mean, the military uses it. I happen to know, I have some sources there and friends in there. They're using this stuff, for elicitation, interrogation. They won't be able, I have a friend who does jury, like trains lawyers to go on the stage. I'm saying stage in the courtroom. So the best ones, the most expensive ones, they learn this stuff. That's why they're expensive. So why don't you so I'll leave you with this thought, become expensive. Learn the skills, become expensive.
Become expensive. Richard, this has been awesome. So for anyone that wants to master the art of influence, I'm an advocate and I'm endorsing that you go to richardduggal.com and at least begin by making the download, for learning, entering the world of persuasion on influence. Richard, this has been great, my friend. I so appreciate you. I want everyone to connect with Richard on social media and thank him. And for those of you guys that are ready to explore the conversation and go to the next level, he gave you his cell phone, which is something that nobody's ever done on this show. I mean,
yeah, that is my dare. It's not a burner number. That's my real. Good of you, Chad. It's honor for you. Because anyone that's a friend of yours is a friend of mine. And that's my real cell phone. Oh, you can't see it here, but there it is.
Yeah, there you go. I appreciate you so much, Richard. Thank you very much for being on the show. Everyone, also please go to go to iTunes, go to Stitcher, etc. Leave us a 5-star review and a good rating. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Top Listing Agent Show.